So this is King Shyste, an award-winning spoken word poet from the north side of Philly, a community youth activist. He is featured on stages all over the country. His work has been seen and heard on radio, TV, and in print. Current project out right now is King Shyste Season, out online on Rio Soul Records. So y'all definitely need to hit up RioSoulRecords.com. They got some hot artists. Um, King Shyste right here is one of their feature artists. They also have a few more. So definitely RioSoul.com. They got some fire coming out of their record label. Like I'm trying to be on. I'm not ready. I'm not ready though. So thank you for being here.
Glad to be here.
I appreciate you making it. It's just awesome to see you. We haven't seen each other in a minute either, right? Yeah.
Voices in Power.
Yeah,
Open mic does book.
Voices in Power, open mic. Once a month. I gotta check them out too. Go on Eventbrite. They all sold out, but they got an anniversary coming up. So definitely go on Eventbrite and check out Voices in Power if you want some hot poetry or you trying to find you an open mic. They definitely got it for you. So, Mr. Shyste, King Shyste, you know, we working on this King Shyste Season album is out right now, right?
Right.
Okay, so let's get into it. I need you to give me a taste. I need a taste.
You want a piece off?
Yes, give it to me.
See, I know why the cage Jim Crow sings. You lock it down, it loses its wings. Can't fly on those streets, so we come pray to be devoured in the belly of the beast. America eats his poor, got dark meat stuck between his teeth. See, the slaves were set free for a brief moment, stood in the sun, and moved back towards slavery. Them boys in the prison yard can't smell freedom in the air, so become public enemy, caught in the crosshair. But knowledge is power, my mind is black steel in the chaos hour. You can't convince me to change my attitude when I know slavery in America started with a ditch to servitude. Now, how that's any different from the day when the prison industrial complex got inmates working for pennies a day? The media can't convince me that drug sales in Houston cause color lines in ethnic group, but disproportionately locked down as black and brown. European immigrants put Africans in chains, and Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic, whereas Spain, that's the way those slaves came. So the more things change, the more they stay the same word. They've been trying to figure out what to do with the black and poor problem since the Reconstruction, do the research. It ain't hard to tell. They were doing drug sweeps in college campuses. They would fall white boys be born calling mom and dad home to produce bail. But white privilege give the criminal justice system a sliding scale. Ain't no black gangs in the suburbs, black sell to black, brown to brown, white to white. Everybody getting high, no lie, but they want a racial profile, stop and frisk the guys. Listen, he was convicted by the testimony of an eyewitness. Judge cracked gavel past sitting. For over 2 decades, he was less sentenced till he got exonerated by DNA evidence proof. Put your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth. How many in that last scenario see someone that look like me? It's you. Wasted behind bars of those who couldn't take it, put a belt around their neck and the cell become strange fruit, noose. But I'm a man, so I'm born to stand erect. I let words ejaculate from my larynx, tell the criminal justice system use a lying trick, and I come with the truth and let it bust all over you. That courtroom don't see, man. Care less about that faith you believe in. So that's why we write these prison poetic letters way past the margin for my brothers and sisters who can't make bail.
Woo, that was fire. I love that piece. Yes. Yes, that is one of my favorite pieces. I love that. And like, okay, so what inspired you? Like, where did that come from?
Long time I've been, and thinking about when you talk about institutionalized racism, structured racism, and when people try to tell you that things change and it did, things change, we've been watching Black folks being targeted by these laws and racially profiled and locked up disproportionately than the other groups of Blacks and brown people. And to have the thoughts, the passion about it, the voice to talk about it, but Michelle Alexander came out with the book, The New Jim Crow. So once I read the book, I had the information to back up the feelings I had, the thoughts I had on it. So now you have these, these numbers that can support it, the information. So that's why I call it The New Jim Crow. And I've always write poems to be footnotes. So if you hear the poem, you like the poem, I try to direct people to the books behind some of the social commentary that we're talking about.
Always dropping them gems.
So
Yes.
we want people to go get the information. So when I did the video, I'm actually reading a book in there. So I'm getting, like this ain't no hidden, I'm not making nothing up. There's information, statistics to back up that the prison system is just a new slavery. It's just a new way that we finally put Black people behind bars. And in this prison system, we got to look out for these traps and a lot of things that glorify and what could cause us to get in these traps is you hear it in hip hop music, we glorifying this lifestyle. So, if lyrically somebody can make that look appealing, then lyrically we gotta have some counterbalance to that because we gotta have other stories out here other than the lifestyle. We making it feel like it's something fly to do. We have to talk about other things that make people like, yo, this is the plan they got for you. Keep running behind these narratives in your community and in the music and thinking, this is going to be some lifestyle that's just going to end. Like I seen this movie. I know how the story ends. Just got new players and new actors in it. So I'm just trying to tell people, if I've been around long enough to say, I can tell you who ran this neighborhood late 80s, early 90s, on and on and on and on.
I told y'all, he a goat like he's been around.
It's nothing new. So, you want to give people the information. So a lot of times that's part of my process. To, if I'm feeling something, if it's political, I got to read up on politics to make sure, not just having wordplay with these lyrics about politics. I'm actually giving some information about politics, prison industrial complex, whatever I'm talking about at that time. Then there's other poems that's just based on my experience, and then other poems is based on social commentary. If I'm proposing about spirituality, then I have to study spirituality and history to make all these things come to life. So it's not just I'm different when it comes to that. I'm not a fan of just wordplay just for the sake of wordplay.
Yes. So what is the name of that book again?
The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander.
The New Jim Crow by who?
Michelle Alexander.
Michelle Alexander.
If you go to grillsoul.com, Grill Soul Records, you will see the video. It's videos from all my label mates on there. But if you want to see that video, you'll see the images that makes the poem come even more alive. I didn't finish the poem because, I just...
He just giving y'all a little taste, like, that's all y'all get. That's all y'all get. Y'all don't get all of it. You gotta go buy the album. You gotta go Real Soul Records, watch the video. I'm telling you, it's hot. It's hot. Okay, so the New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. See, he drops gems and I pick them up. I don't play them games. So I'm definitely going to look into this book. So that's your inspiration for that piece. So when exactly is a moment you remember writing your first poem? Like your very first one.
It's strange. I always say that I can't remember. I've always been writing since grade school. And in grade school was like the birth of hip hop for me. In Philadelphia, we started,
can I ask you what year that was? Okay.
A classic.
Classic.
So the reason why I'm saying that because I can't remember what did I write first, a rap or a poem, but I know the message by Grandmaster Flash was a rap in 81. I'll give you I'm gonna date myself with that. In 81, and I heard that and it made me write a poem. So it made me write a poem that didn't sound like what I was reading in Langston Hughes or what was given us. Because Grandmaster Flash, broken glass everywhere, it sounded like a poem to me. And it sounded like it spoke to me on that level. So I didn't write a rap about the streets. I wrote a poem that looked like I'm looking out my window and what did I see? So it probably was grade school. I wrote my first poem listening to raps, so I was writing raps too.
Yes, because I can hear that in your flow. And that's what I like about your tone when you recite your pieces. It's like that old school hip hop, like you can hear it. That's why I love listening to you. And it's like, I've heard your pieces so much, like I'm in a crowd, like spitting them all, people looking at me like, What's up? Like this my
That's
room, you
a,
don't
that's a,
understand.
that's a great, I like what you said, because I never understood when poets get up and read and they apologize for read, like, oh, I apologize if you've heard this poem before. Like, we supposed to write something that supposed to live and have a shelf life.
Yeah.
So we still listen to Maya, we still listen to Gil, we still listen to, they still listen to links to you. Why are you not writing something word for repeating? And I love reciting a piece and the crowd's doing it with me. Like that gives you that rock star feeling.
Yes.
And you know, you come see my set, I'm always gonna bring something new. Like I just did a feature, and I did 2 or 3 new pieces, but you won't get classic Shyste because somebody in that room, about 90% of the room didn't hear it. The 10% that heard it is gonna do the words with me. I love that. I love it.
And I love doing it with you. Okay, so you got new pieces and old pieces. So you got any events coming up in the near future?
I'm going to Baltimore with K Love.
Be more, yes, we love K Love. I'm trying, if you watching, I'm trying to get you on the show. If you listening, K Love.
She'll be in Philly in May.
She featured at Voices in Power in February, I think.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, she was awesome.
So we I got that coming up March 17th.
March 17th in Baltimore with K Love.
Philly, I got something on the 23rd and something on the 24th in New Jersey. So I can't go off the top of my head, but I will be putting it out there. You know, people that's following Instagram and Facebook, they'll see me put them out as the base call. I'm one of the promoters, like make the flyers so I can promote it, let people know. Because people always, you know, say question like, where you gonna be at? And I'm like, as soon as I know, you'll know.
Okay, speaking of promoting, let's get your handles. So when you start doing this promoting, thank you for the segue. People can, people can, I mean, check out and see what you're doing. So we can catch you on IG at
King_Shyste, SHYSTE, King Shyste, King_Shyste. Facebook is, you know, the name on my paycheck, Reynald Williams, REYNALD Williams. Go to Facebook and you can add me on Facebook or Instagram. I'm on, I keep up with both of them, so add me on both of them.
You be on the regular. We message,
Gotcha.
Message a lot through Instagram and Facebook.
And I just put out your flyer on both platforms, you know, both social medias.
Yeah.
That I was gonna be here tonight.
Yes, I appreciate that. Like we recycle the love, we recycle it. That's how it goes. Good energy feeds off good energy. I love that. So y'all got that IG King_Shyste, SHYSTE, King Shyste on IG. I ain't gonna say it's government, but y'all can probably, you know,
do the Instagram thing.
Yeah, do the Instagram thing. That's the gram. Hit them up on the gram. So I really, like I said, I really appreciate you being here. Like it's so dope to have you because you, for me, are one of the people I go to. Like you're like one of my go-to poets. Like listening to your stuff, like it fires me up. And like I'm not really a political poet, but I like listening to you because, like I said, you got that old school hip hop flow, and I find myself like with the jig when I'm listening to your pieces, and it's like it's dope for me. And watching you perform is always like I'm in awe because I can't memorize shit. I'm working on it, but you've been in this game for how many years?
2004.
Since 2004. You see, he ain't give me a year, right? He ain't say 10 years, 20 years. He just told me the year. Okay.
So 2024 be 20 years. I'm looking forward to it. Like I'm looking forward to that 20 years and be able to say, yeah, I figure out what I'm gonna do with it 20 years. Like I'm, you know, I'm a fan of the last poets. I'm a fan of Maria Baraka before he passed it. Gil Scott Heron. I'm spoken word and poetry, something I could do as long as my mind stays sharp. And like you say, old school flow, I'm in there with the rappers and they flowing and I'm flowing and they coming up to me to, you know, like big homie, I've been listening to you since 2010. So I got some trees and, you know, some roots in this game. I'm seeing poets and MCs coming up to me and say, I've been listening to you years. And I'm glad they not listening to me feeling like, I'm getting ready to Curtis blow the thing, or sound like I'm dated, like I'm coming right now. Like whoever doing something right now, line for line, I want to be. So when I see these young cats spitting fire, they looking at me like, no, you. And I'm like, okay, because it happens. I go into a room, bunch of young poets in there, and the host giving me all the pioneer props. And I know that they're looking at it, they thinking he getting ready, sound like the last poets or sound like something. No, you gonna get this work. I'm getting ready to teach you something.
Yeah,
Because
y'all,
your wordplay don't have content. Like she said, political. I can give you anything. I can give you streets, spirituality, love, sex, relationships, my life
She
experience.
does,
I'm
she
gonna give
does.
you everything, content, as a top tier lyricist. And you're just still telling me that you nice. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna tell you nice, but I want you to think about something. I want you to feel something. I love those lyricists. Like if I'm listening to you and I feel something in that moment, if I only feel like you killed it, that's like me listening to a comedian. Once I heard the joke once, twice, three times, I'm good. So rappers that just have a lot of wordplay do nothing for me. There's those rappers that can take that wordplay, that rhyme schemes, structure, and bring something with it. That's who inspires me. Like those kind of cats.
And see, I'm still like a little baby in the poetry game. So I am. So hearing you and E and Lady Sarcasm and even Kayla, like she is awesome. And the last poets, like I actually met one of the last poets at an event I did. Well, I was at a little bit before the summers will start getting cold. Jay Knobs had it like
Oh
on
yeah,
the
yeah,
BB
yeah,
More.
yeah. I
And one
wasn't
of the
able to
last
make
poets
that.
was
I
there,
wasn't able
yes.
to make that.
And he was talking about rhyme schemes, and he was like, as a poet, we have the opportunity and the make up words. Like we can make shit up. It don't have to be a word that's in the dictionary. Like we can put two words together and make it make sense. That's what we can do.
I prefer not to. I think the English language is so beautiful, so vast.
But it changes so much.
It changed, but I wanna use words that exist and make them connect. Like to me, it's an art. Like I know what I want to say, and then how do I say it? That's the art. Now I gotta sit there and think about. Some of it's just gonna roll out. Some of my favorite poems, the best poems, whatever we'll call it, they just rolled out. Some of them I had to sit with for a minute. Like one of the newest poems I did, I had it, then I came back to it, and then when I came back to it, I was like, I'm glad I didn't recite it until I came back to it and do something else on it. And it took a little, it got bigger for me. But I got like I understand what the brother's saying. We can do so much and don't limit yourself. I just was talking preferably for me. I don't want to, like I wasn't a fan of Lil Wayne just saying stuff that didn't connect. I'd rather hear Jay make those words connect and go, or Lupe Fiasco, like, how did they do that? I'm into that. Like you made that rhyme scheme, that wordplay like this, and it connected. I heard it 7 times before I heard it. Like, damn, that got past me. I like that. I like when people say to me, every time I listen to you, I hear something else.
I do.
And I write from that. Like you're not going to get it all unless you sit with it. Because I'm from that. That I can still listen to Jay-Z, Reasonable Doubt, like, damn, I missed that. I can still listen to Lupe, Food and Liquor. Illmatic is still,
Yes,
I'm from Royce right now. Royce the 5'9" is, I know I'm shouting out a lot of cats. Royce the 5'9" is just killing it to me, and watch him do his thing. It's I want that. It's like I said before, if I heard it and I got everything the first time, and it's a way to do that because I'm still like 50, and there's nothing complex about 50, but it's the energy. So
yes,
and it goes back to what I'm saying. If the energy, if your words are making me feel something, shared experience, emotion, that's writing to me. If you're just got me like, oh, you killed it, dope, you killed it, then I want to know what you're going to do next. If you the whole album is you just killed it with wordplay, and I never felt your story, your persona, your energy, your thoughts.
Bring me the energy, bring me and make me think.
So our Pac is not lyrical, but he's one of my top 10, and some days he's my top 5.
Oh, that's what's up, see? Okay, so that is King Shyste. Let's get into Miss Betty's son. Let's get into that.
Yes, Miss Betty son.
The
predates King
activist.
Shyste.
Yes, those are two different people
Same people.
in the same, yeah, they reside in the same body, but let's get into the activists. Let's get into who you are. I know you work in the school system, and so you deal a lot with the youth, and I applaud you for that. I applaud you for that because
lady,
I got a 14-year-old and she get on my nerves.
If you heard it before, then you could probably tell like my voice is kind of strained. Yeah, because I'm working with your babies. I got K-5 during the day. Then I got 7 to 8 graders. I'm coaching them in basketball at night. And talking to 8th graders right now, it's like talking to a 3rd grader. So I'm just all the time, yo, hollering, repeat myself.
That's why you need to see. That's why you needed the tea. I got you.
Right. And it's a. I just thought about this. The things you do. It's a lot of stuff is thankless. Nobody's getting Grammys for being grown responsible. And I think that's what get it twisted. We look at our success when somebody say, I bought something, or they received something like a degree. I get that. Degrees, you got a new car, you got a house. Those are things that we applaud. Nobody really watches it. There's no, nobody's gonna follow, give you 10,000 views because you're coaching boys. And once those boys got a connection with you, the teacher come to me and say, your guys are 2-3 levels behind in which call, can you get them to Saturday school? And when they wanted, when she couldn't get them to, sign up, they looking at her like this. It was like, coach, I'm gonna come back and leave in 10 minutes. She will step out 2 minutes, told her to come back, and all my boys signed up but nobody's gonna give you anything for that. There's nobody gonna give you anything.
Give him his flowers.
To see you
working out here with these boys.
To see you make that connection, and that they looked at each other, held each other accountable. You go, I go. If I go, you go. We told them to be accountable, hold each other down. So they all signed up as a group. And I just say that's thankless, but it serves me. Like, I don't know where that comes from. That I don't want to be on my deathbed or in a nursing home thinking about how many women I had, how many cars I bought, how the material things. It's going to be how many people I touch. And when I first started doing community events, to see kids running up with their mom, like he came to my school, they running up on you like it was something. Like you're famous, like that man, he came to my school and and they're excited about it. And to hear people years later come back and say, when you came to my school, you gave me your CD and I listened to your CD to get me through boot camp, to get me through college, to get me through, somebody said, well, I wrote my whole paper listening to you, what you call. So there's things that come out of it that there's no Kanye, well, I guess this we were, there's no Kanye document because Kanye turned into this. And we celebrate Kanye, he's a genius for what he does. We celebrate him for that. But when you boots on the ground, nobody's, and that's okay. It's what I wanted to do. When I started doing spoken word, I would just feel like, people were just looking at me as an entertainer, and I didn't want to just be an entertainer. A lady asked me to come to Atlantic City to the Boys and Girls Club because she came to Philly with spoken word and they didn't have it in Atlantic City. So when I went there and seen what happened with those young people, that was the path I was on. A lot of teachers came to, they were like, can you do what you just did on stage at my school? Sure. And that started. Then the at-risk program started. People was like, can you come down to the youth studies? Can you come to, different, don't fall down in the hood. They had all these, at-risk programs that people.
I love it though.
And then the people say, we had speakers, but they never sat still for 40 minutes for anybody, and then ask questions and all that. So it would start up with spoken word. And if I was sitting up there writing a line, they were ooh and ah about it. And then they would ask me, what does that mean? So if I sit up there, and I speak it in a language and I go, I'm a bard lord, lyricism is my religion. I write 5 times a day facing the east, but my brothers in the streets are starving to eat. So I put my beliefs in a paragraph, serve it 2 in the morning so they can break fast. And they go, wow, they just heard the lines. And now, Now I get to have a teachable moment about what that rhyme
Yes,
means.
teach them,
And
Shyste.
then we having a conversation, and then I'm pulling out a book like, I didn't make this up. Don't take nothing I say it's gospel. I'm just giving you footnotes. Karis One and Chuck D did that for me.
Mhm.
They gave me footnotes. Chuck D didn't give me the culture. He gave me footnotes. Karis One named out Haile Selassie. I had to go find out who Haile Selassie was. It wasn't a whole song about it. So I'm giving you a line. And if that's what you want to do, you go find the culture. But if nobody's on TV, if nobody's on social media talking about the culture, then you're only going to keep sharing TikTok videos. I got my students finding my work and walking up to me telling them, "What's up, King Shy?"
Yes, that's right.
But the funny
That's
thing
right.
is,
Social, well,
when
you
you
sharing
say
it right
when you
now.
say old
Yes.
school, I had to look at how they're rapping now. They don't rap. They do melodic sing-songy things.
Mhm.
So she kept saying, "Why you rhyme like that? Why you rhyme?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" And I couldn't understand what she said because they used to somebody singing a line, and then they singing a line. They not listening to the mic going pop, 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 pop. So to them, that's old school.
Mhm.
Even though it's Drake and Kendrick, Meek is still rapping. There, for the most part, they listen to people doing melodies
Yeah.
and
That's
auto
true.
tunes. So, and I don't even know if they call it hip hop. They call it drill music. They call it stand up.
Yeah, they call it.
I don't hear
the
young
other
people
stuff.
singing hip hop. I'm from hip hop. I'm
The
from
era
that.
of hip hop.
And
We
I
from the
can't-
era of hip hop.
and they are too. They just don't because Domino was singing. Nate Dogg was singing.
Yeah. Oh yes.
So
Yes.
they didn't invent nothing. They just don't know where it came from. But they're not the first people to sing melodically.
Yeah, we were just talking about that
I
though.
seen cats do that even before records was out, singing on microphones because I'm from that area where people was picking out big speakers, and a dude was singing his raps and was rhyming, and he's doing over a breakbeat, and everybody in the schoolyard looking at him like, "Yo, he's killing it." So nothing new was under the sun. I ain't write that, but I believe.
Okay, but we was just talking about that off air. Like all this stuff is recycled. Like it's nothing new. It's nothing new. The same stuff y'all talking about now in y'all 20s and y'all teens, the same thing we talked about. Sometimes in these generational gaps, they feel like they're so far removed from us.
And you right. So when they talk, and I'm looking at them like, "You're not doing nothing new." Like that, and I'm looking like I try to make them understand, like, "Yo, I done did it 50 times before you
Exactly.
even showed up." And I had to tell them, like, "I know you did nothing we ain't do except put tats on your face. We ain't do that shit." But I see young boys, they was going through their face, put tats on their face. That was crazy to me. But it's nothing new. You're not the first person to sell drugs. You're not the first person to carry a gun. You're not the first person to get somebody pregnant at 14. You're not doing anything
Exactly.
new. But let me tell you, cause and effect and solution. And that's how I got to talk to them. Because when they tell them, I show up, I'm at the youth study center, and they say, "We got a poet here today." I'm getting that. Got the poet.
Oh
book. And then when I
man.
started, I said, "I'm from around here." When they look like, "Oh, I'm the notorious POET. I blew up a screw up." Now you looking like, "Wait a minute." Then
That's how you catch their
like, catch
attention.
but then they looking like, "Yo, that was nice." But the conversation like, "Oh, yeah, 2 questions. Oh, yeah, did you used to rap? Oh, yeah, what do you read?" So they already making a connection like, "Yo, this dude is lyrical, but he got something up here."
Mhm.
And then when they hear the lines, I'm like, you can tell I'm like, I'm from 17 and down. I'm from Troy 30. I'm from the project when they were high rise. Like, I've been running around before. I ain't never hung up with Richard Allen.
You
Only
said
thing
the project, nigga,
I can't say I tell you that story off because I'm always careful. Like that's the thing. I don't go to these young boys telling them stories that sound like I'm glorifying it. I let them know I'm from it because I always got a problem with the old heads that come and it sounds like, "Yo, you triple OG, you got your blue rag on and you talking you trying to help the kids, but it sounds like you're glorifying what you did and then trying to tell them not to do it." But they looking at you like you just made it. Yeah, when I went upstate, ask anybody how I held it down. My neighborhood know about me. You glorifying these war stories and then try to say, "But I wish I wouldn't have done those things." They're not hearing all that.
Mhm.
So there's not going to be a glorification. I just put enough in there to let them know I'm from this.
Exactly.
Like if I give them a gun bar, it's not I'm shooting you. Like I say, you sound like a 38 with the serial scratched off, rusty handle.
Like, hold up, what did you say?
rusty trigger finger, you miss your target audience and hit innocent kids. So I just made a metaphor like you missed your target audience and hit innocent kids, meaning you was aiming at something else, but you hit the kids with that violence and they heard you. So it's a gun metaphor, symbolism that they could tell I'm from it. But I was like, that's teddy bears and candles. This rest in peace, poetry written in graffiti. So I'm moving them away from, but I gave him enough to know, oh, okay, he's from it, but he's not of it. And that's two different things. That's two different things. So we ain't gonna glorify anything. But yeah, I have Richard Allen story. I tell you it.
Oh, you want that? Oh, here you want
I got you.
Yes, I love that. See, this is what I love about the hip hop era, like the messages. And then I was at a show last night, Word Warriors.
Big shout out to my brother Sam.
Yes.
He used to host for years.
I know he was telling me about just words and like I'm like, y'all, this is what like I want to be in that situation in years. Where like I got people around me that have these memories, but like, oh yeah, you remember Dowland's Palace and you remember like I want that. Like I want to be able to pass on knowledge like that. So that's important to me, especially having kids. You know, I want to be able to pass on that knowledge. Like, I don't know if my daughter listening tonight and she's 14 and, you know, what mom do is like not important. But, you know, I put her on, I want you to listen to Sadior radio tonight. I'm going to be on. And I know she sees the movement. Like she sees the positivity and the movement that I'm making.
Just give it to them because they double back. Like
Yes.
I made my son come to some of my mentoring programs. It's the scene in Boys in the Hood where you take your son out and he start talking and all the the gang members come around and he's looking like the same thing my father says to me all the time that he's probably looking at like, oh man, he's captivating them. So my son had to hear me say these things over and over again. But now he's watching me tell the young boys that sit there like this. And they look, and now he's looking like, okay, my father just ain't no square, just beat me over the head with something. These young boys that's rougher than me, he's listening to them, but they double back. Meaning my son, this is how long I've been in it, he had my music in his iPod. And he would say, what's going on? Then a year or two ago, he hit me on Father's Day. Thanks for giving me the culture.
Yes,
the culture, so they double back.
Hustle that culture.
So she's watching, she's gonna be up 20-something adults. I'm like, my mom wasn't just you know, food, clothes, and shelter. My mom was doing things.
Yes, and that's what I want. Like we gotta, like, that's why one of the reasons I follow you and E and Lady and a couple other people is because y'all dropping gems and I'm a hungry type of person. Like I'm picking up gems like crazy. Like my pockets is full. I'm shoving them in my pants. Like y'all don't understand. Like this is and the way the poetry movement is, like I'm hungry. Like
but don't confuse it because as I said, the reason why I started doing community events and youth events, being on those stages, a lot of times people just see us entertainers. They'll just come up to me and say, I'm fired. Or you killed it. It's other people that might, like you, saying you got something more than Shyste's fired. A lot of people are just like, yo, you that boy that's fired. So sometimes it's just, everybody's not gonna get gems and jewels and everything. They're just getting entertained. They just get entertained. Okay, that's okay too. They pay me. They pay me to entertain. Most of the time I make my money, it's not at the community events. I make my money when I go to Baltimore, Jersey, and different cities that feature Philadelphia, my home city. They're the ones that pay me to come out there and do it. But that's where the balance had to come out. I had to do the venues, sell my work, get paid to host and feature, so I can go do community work for free and make it make sense. Because you out there, we see how Malcolm passed, not to compare myself to Malcolm. Malcolm gave so much. When he died, it was nothing there for the family. So he had to, you know, they had to rely on other people. And Betty should pass herself a strong woman. But if I'm going to my mailbox and it's full of bills and I can't go to Pico's, like, I was down in the youth study. I changed somebody's life, I think. You want to have to write that next poem in the dark, brother. So we
Say
turn your lights
right
out.
in
So
the dark.
yes, some of us, it's just hot. They bought it because it was hot. Other people told me, I bought your CD. You know, we talk about that's how long I've been in. I'm in from the CD era. Bought your CD, and my son took it, and I can't get it back from him. Thank you. I bought it so you and your son could listen to it. They had to add something else. It's you become what you was missing. You're the answer to your own prayers. So when we kept complaining, hip hop changed. You got to figure 2004. My white tee, chicken noodle soup, all this was out. We hating. Nas made an album. Hip hop is dead. We hating, and I was like, it ain't their fault. There's no rock him on the radio. So then you go to the schools and you do. You like we'll say old school. You doing rock him the chaos. What a Big Daddy Kane for them. Nas, Jay-Z, and them for them. And they think you're doing magic because they don't hear nobody playing with these words like that.
Mhm.
So they almost looking like yo, he just he just set himself on fire. And then we know that it's not just entertainment for them. They got a bunch of questions.
And that's the best part.
Now you feel like you're serving somebody. So what I call a king Shyste is like king Shyste. I'm sitting on the throne to serve our community. I want all the kings and the queens to be of service. We ain't ruling nothing. We're serving our communities, God, family, and community. That's what we're doing.
Yes, I love that line. I love that line because it's the truth. Like you put out that good energy and that positivity to serve your community. You want somebody to pick it up and pass it on. So it's like
so that's what the line goes, because if you're having everybody say if it ain't about the bag, it ain't about nothing.
yes.
And I say every man have a mantra, God said family and community. And people usually give me, I get the hallelujah black man reaction because men's supposed to have conviction. I had to learn that. What is a man? Growing up as Miss Betty's son, no father around, you thinking a man is being physical. How strong am I? Can I beat everybody in basketball? Can I beat them in boxing? Can you get money? How many girls you got? That's when we was looking at our manhood. And I was like, it had to be more. So then when you find out your manhood, humanity is based on spirituality and intellect and purpose. Like, what is your purpose, truth, and conviction? Then I feel like I was coming into my manhood. It's not, you walk in, somebody see you with the prettiest girl or one of the prettiest girls in the club, Shyste, you the man. You get ready to pull out your money at the bar. Okay, you the man. At night, drink on you. So that's the kind of word you like. You the man. Oh, you knock that motherfucker out. That he need to be played with. So you look at that as manhood, and then you growing up and you get ready to start having kids. What am I passing on if you don't have truth and conviction? Like, it's about culture, it's about blackness, it's about God, it's about as much as I can learn it. And it's not everything I learn is I'm trying to monetize it. I'm learning it to become a full human being.
Yes. I love it. Like it's crazy because
you going on the road because I need that.
It's crazy because I was just having this conversation, like the same conversation last night with Sam and
good brother. That's why I call
yes,
him good brother.
exactly the same conversation. And he works in a mental health institute facilities. He works with people who are unstable and mental health is something that's serious for me because I believe everybody needs to, at some point in their life, mental health needs to be a thing for you. It just needs to be. Because we all got trauma, we all got life we trying to balance out, and having nobody to on the outside to drop your thoughts off to or hear yourself like bounce stuff off of, you need that. And for me, that's what poetry is. Like I write because I need to get it out. It's therapy for me. And then going to open mics, it's me sharing my feelings and my inner pain and my thoughts and everything else with other people. So that's therapy for me. Poetry is therapy. So for me, it's something that I need.
And here's Sam, like I said, I've been around Sam a while talking about therapy. And I've never done therapy And I had to talk to E. Muhammad, one of my brother on what you call
Yes, he's the poet MC.
and I had to really look at it like, everybody needs some couch time, bro. Like, I look at it and wonder, do I have post-traumatic PTSD? Because I've never been shot, but I've been shot at it's too many times. I grew up around it, that it's normalized. I can see somebody pull out a gun and not, this ain't directed at me. And I'm looking at it and seeing that, and had guns pointed at me by cops and by brothers in the hood neighborhood with murders intent. And sometimes you wake up out here, I snap out my what you call because I hear something that's like Shyste got shot. And I just pop up. And it's almost like I've been thinking about since a teenager that I'm gonna die violently. Because I've been around so much violence, I always thought like, it's coming. And just being black in the inner city.
Yes.
I don't live, I grew up in North Philly, lived in Southwest, live in Logan now. So I've been in the inner city all throughout South Philly. I've just been too close to it. Like I could be right there and watching. And there's too many people going, that's how I really look like.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about 20 years ago, I'm talking about even in recent times, I could be sitting somewhere and 10 feet away from me, somebody gets shot, and then, first thing you do is go towards that because you want to see if you can help the brother. And you got to watch somebody by the spirit leave them. That stays with you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's just been around so much. So a lot of us, going back to Sam talking therapy, need it, and poetry is, part of it. You know what I mean? Being all my life, it was right before poetry and sports. I played so much sports, even in my 30s and 40s. People was thinking like, you try to go to the league? No, I was dealing with stress.
Hey, everybody has their way of coping.
Right, people, I feel like I'm from North Philly. People will see me running from Broad Susky all the way up to almost Broad Spring Garden at night, because now I gotta wait till my kids in the bed.
I'm a night owl, though. It's not nothing wrong with it.
People be like, because that's almost crazy to see somebody in the hood jogging with a hoodie on at night. Like, why can't people do it all the time? Some people come back like, yo, brother, talking to my brother. Brother, I didn't see his brother running up and down Broad Street. No, I'm trying to. Plus, I had kids, I had a daughter. So it was stress. Plus, I had a daughter. I was calculating, okay, by the time my daughter date, I'll be this age. I gotta make sure.
You gotta make sure that left hook is together.
When she come up and say, Daddy, such and such, and actually it happened. There's been times I had to step to dudes, be like, yo, leave her alone. And then they look and they be like, yeah, this ain't Stanley, that's Devo. Like, so when Devo say get off his lawn, it ain't Stanley say get off his lawn. When Devo say that's my daughter, they understand like, okay, yeah. She gonna say nothing to you, gonna stay away from me, gonna stay away. But it's like that Vito Corleone, that offer you can't refuse. She gonna say nothing to you, and you ain't gonna say nothing to her. And they looking and sizing you up, and I'm looking like,
hey, it gotta be like that sometimes.
Be like that, and that's one of fatherhood is part of all of this. Is activism, is being an artist, and fatherhood. Like one of my pieces that I rarely do, but one of my favorite pieces is fatherhood. I wrote a poem called Father's Child. You probably heard it.
Yes, I definitely heard that one.
It's a poem that if you know me, you know me. But fatherhood is the answer to Father's Child. Because I got 3 children, each one of them got a page. Here's Rashad page, this is Alondra, my daughter, and then my youngest, Raheem, all got a page, and it's me answering. I didn't have a father, so I wrote Father's Child, but now I'm a father, right? Fatherhood is coming full circle.
I love it.
I did that up in one day doing back to back.
Yeah, there you go. So this is what I do. So I want like 10% of this whole situation. We just worked out together. So I need mine off the back end of the back end.
Wow.
So that's how that works. But it's like,
oh, she said she did.
Oh, she is. So, all right. So the activist.
Speaking of my son.
Yeah, speaking. That's what we do.
And that's a funny story. I wrote it, and he was about 4 or 5. And we talking about Jay Nas when he did the last poem. So I'm in the studio with Jay Nas, and my son is there. So I do the whole poem, and I get to my son who's got the last verse. And he just peeked in the room and just goes, Dad, you talking about me. So we looked at each other like, damn. First we thinking that, yo, he fucked it up. Yeah. Wait a minute. Put that on there.
Yes.
So we put that on there. So it's by the time I get to the last verse, and I'm talking about Raheem, when he goes, Dad, you talking about me. It's a blooper, real moment that we kept. And
I
it was
love
just
it.
crazy.
I love it.
And while we
Thank
talking about
you.
him, he's knocking at the door, just showing up. Yeah, I'm a co-parent.
Like it's
Sunshine.
real
That's on
life.
the album. Sunshine is on the album. It's about me being a co-parent. So everything I say is not just political. It's my real life experience. I got a poem about getting divorced, King's Heartbreak, and then I got Sunshine about being doing, co-parenting with my ex, his mother. So it's not just me just doing history, spirituality, culture. I'm giving you my real life, this fatherless child, because that's where I'm from. It's Betty's son. I wrote that poem after my mother passed. It's so when you hear it, you get to know. You can listen to a poem and like, yo, I know this guy.
Exactly, and that's how it should be. Speaking of your album, so we get that on where? Where we get that at?
You go to Grill, you can go on IG or Facebook. It's a Grill Soul Records page. If you go on Grill Soul Records on IG or
And Griot Soul Records is GRIOT Soul SOUL Records.com. Griot Soul Records. I'm telling you, the album is fire. And I love Griot Soul Records because go get your seedling. He be back, he gonna go get his seedling. So Griot Soul Records, if you go on the website, they have King Shyste, his album is fire. They also have Lady Sarcasm, her album, That's My Girl. So I rep hard for Lady Sarcasm. Her album is so hot. Ladies, y'all gotta be a part of this album. So definitely Griot Soul Records is the spot. And of course the legendary E the Poet MC. He got his pieces. He also has a book called Rhymes Against the Margin, I believe, or Rhymes Outside the Margin, something like that. But it's dope. And then Lady Sarcasm has her book and her album, Dear Lost John, which I'm in the book, so you should definitely cop that. We're gonna be cutting out in a minute because it is almost time. We got 10 minutes left.
Hey.
The seedling is here.
No, I don't want you point up to the wrong too. Yes, let's go.
Oh, the seedling's not here. Not yet. But yes, Griot Soul Records. You can download the whole album, right? King Shy Seasoning from Griot Soul Records. Once again, that's Griot Soul, GRIOTSOUL records.com. Top that King Shice album.
Right. Please, and somebody just sent me something. So if you in Jersey, South Jersey on the 24th, I'll send it out to you. I'll be in South Jersey doing the
your
feature.
IG again.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on my IG right after I get out of here. So I have me on IG, and if you in South Jersey, I'll send that to you. And I got something in Philly coming out. And if you're in Baltimore, I hope my Baltimore people listening, I'm gonna send it out to you too.
Yes, I'm trying to make it to that Baltimore one though, because I love you and K Love together. I think that would be.
We featured a couple times together.
Y'all did?
Yeah, I know K Love since early on. Just for
it's funny I can tell you, I'm a baby in this.
It's funny how long you don't realize you know people until. And I was like, yo, when did I meet her? I met her through a moon who got Chicago and Philly roots. She brought her to Just Words. And we done did things in Jersey, Philly. Every time she used to come to Just Words, anytime she was in Philly or close to Philly, she would pop up at Just Words. Remember KP had his event.
Yes, KP,
and don't sell me Shyste, they got a big heart. Cause I had to break down my feature. I was like, she was coming to town. He's like, you mind sharing the feature? And I was like, okay, this is my sister. So we had to negotiate so we both could get paid. I was like, I'm gonna take all the money from the door. Like, we're gonna break it down, my sister. Because it was a great night. Because she does what she does and I do what I do. And you put it together. If I would say a lyrical, super lyrical Lauryn Hill type thing. So imagine if you got Rakim and Nas hybrid and Lauryn Hill.
It
What's
was,
a hybrid, and then y'all see us both together.
yes, because K-Love, her poems are so powerful. Like, and the way she says them and her cadence, like I aspire, like you, her, Lady Sarcasm.
And that's the other thing is when you say powerful, is like she's speaking for a demographic that I couldn't speak for. I have poems that I try to honor Black women, but you can't do it in their voice. They have to tell their story. Like
Yes.
she can't tell Black men's stories. She can probably, write a poem for us,
Yes.
but she can't
She
tell our
has. She
story.
got a few of them.
She can't tell our story, but women need to tell their own story. And we need to tell our own story, and we need to be in the same rooms and listening to each
Y'all
other.
hear that? Put your listening ears on.
We don't. I see too many times on social media, it's almost like Black men versus Black women. You just watch the posts and watch the threads, the comments that come, we doing this. I don't see enough of those posts where we doing this, like loving on each other.
Yes,
And I mean, and it's crazy because I can put up a post showing love to Black women, but it's only 95% of the people that's liking it is Black women. And I really want, if I'm saying something saluting Black women, you would want to see a lot of brothers come in there and it's like we share that mind state with you. And we got to do that because if I paint a picture of sister half naked, my brother's gonna get 95% of the likes on that picture. So if I'm talking about her achievements, I'm talking about her achievements, we got to keep that same energy for each other.
Yes, we gotta love up on each other.
I like I love a beautiful body with a sister, but
you gotta stay half naked.
She don't have to be half naked. I said beautiful body. I meant let's say what I meant. Of course, I like a half naked body, but I like the Black woman's body so she can be covered, and I'm still gonna see beauty. And when she half naked, I see sex. But if she's covered, I see beauty. I'm sorry. That's
what I'm talking about. Y'all heard the man. He said what he said. I'm gonna walk around this bitch in a sheet.
I wouldn't be able to write father. I wouldn't be able to write fatherhood if I didn't love Black women and their bodies. That's how it works.
True. That's where it came from.
Black beautiful bodies. And when I met my oldest two, mom, I was in the club. Now my youngest son, mom, in the venue, poetry venue, but it was the same energy. Damn, who that?
Damn, who that?
And
keep it 100, beautiful keep Black babies. Yes, beautiful Black babies. That's how it is. So I really appreciate you coming out. Like, I'm so glad you can make it because for a second, like you don't even understand like what I went through earlier today. I went to the gym today. I was like so hyped, and then my homie, the engineer over here, y'all can't see him. Mark is like, "You ready?" I'm like texting him like, "What? I was born ready. This is what I do." And then Shyste texts me, "Oh man, I might not. You don't understand." I fell out on the floor like that.
I gotta thank Brother E because I was really.
Thank you, E.
It really came down to conflict, like you say. We right now trying to coordinate picking up my son. So when he was telling the time, I'm like, oh man, I gotta be home to receive him, and I ain't gonna make it here. But luckily, co-parenting works out. She said, "Well, I'll drop him off to where you at."
Look at that.
She was like,
"Give her her flowers. Thank you, Queen."
Thank you. Because she could have been like, well, your responsibility is, and I guess you won't see him this weekend. Oh, come on. We ain't doing that. So, can I say this before we go?
Yes.
That's what King's Heartbreak is about. And I'll try to articulate that. Even though we wasn't together because we have a shared belief system and we have a belief about family and culture and everything else. So once we couldn't be together, it didn't stop us from being parents together.
It doesn't.
And I think a lot of times it's just crazy if you make a baby with somebody that came out of a promise. We didn't one night standards, we married, planned the baby, we had the baby. Even if I didn't, If I was running around and celebrate, it's still the same thing. What's this like comes in, you're responsible for. So if I'm responsible for it, it just works out better if we get past the beautiful bodies and you understand what do we believe in. Because if we believe in the same thing, we don't have to be together to still be the community, the tribe, the family. You know what I mean? We gotta understand that. We gotta really understand. Because I watch people beefing, you know, the baby daddy thing, the baby mama beef is just ridiculous in our community. And I can't speak to, I don't know what Latinos do. I don't know what white folks are doing. I don't know what Asian, I care less what they do in the community as far as their family. I'm talking about our families. We got to be about families make communities, communities make societies. So where families are broken, now we understand why our city looks like it is.
So
we all
true.
over the place. We all over the place. If I love my family, so does he, and so does he. We're in the same block. We're gonna make our block safe. We're gonna do whatever we do to keep it safe and clean because we all believe in our families that live on this block. But if we all separated and doing our own thing, now anybody can come on our block and do what they want to do.
Me.
God,
That's
God, family, and community. got that purpose, kings,
gotta
queens.
have, yes. I'm totally in agreement with that. It gotta be about community. For me, it's about Black enterprise. It's about building each other up. Like that's the wavelength I'm on. And that's why I wanted to start this show, because if I'm making money and I'm doing good and I'm supporting, I'm going to reach out to anybody around me that got something positive going on. And I'm going to extend my hand because I'm not about that crab in the barrel mentality. Like we shouldn't be keeping each other down. We should be lifting each other up, like always. Like us Black and brown people, we are brilliant. And it's not going to be recognized.
It ain't because white folks love each other so much. They understand building infrastructure for themselves, because I don't necessarily gotta love Bob, but if me and Bob can build infrastructure, we build infrastructure, generational wealth, generational privilege. If they build these things, and that's been the whole thing, to try to keep us out. That's why we still brown people, Black people chasing something, because they built infrastructure that's based on privilege and white supremacy to keep us out. They don't necessarily love each other. There's white on white crimes. There's Russia and Ukraine is going down. They do violence to each other.
It's going down.
They do violence to each other. World War I and World War II was European white shit. If you watch Bravehearts, we've been watching white people with axes cutting each other here. They don't love each other, but when they came here, they built infrastructure for what? For themselves. Well, out of love, out of necessity to have privilege.
Okay.
They don't even know they women, but they put their women up as a standard of beauty. Wow.
He's dropping knowledge. Y'all hear him? Okay, so with that being said, it is now 7 o'clock and I have to go. I got to pick up my kids. So I once again want to thank my guest, King Shyste, for coming through in the clutch and joining me on my first
sorry, y'all, still
show.
Bring her in. And it was a privilege to be here. It was a privilege. And I'm glad, because I was tired and trying to get the whole thing coordinated. I was like, maybe she could call somebody else. But then shout out E. He was like, don't do it, Shyste.
Thank you, E. You know, I love you and Tam. I appreciate it. So we will catch you on the 25th of March, which is my next show. I will have on Gretchen Elise, a musician in Philly. Thank you for listening in. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I wish peace and blessings on you and prosperity to you and your family. Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Peace. That was great. You can talk.